Hello, it's Blazor School here. Today you are going to learn how to build a simple website with Blazor WebAssembly.net 6. To get you onboarding with the Blazor WebAssembly.net 6 fundamentals course. In real-life project, you need a server. In this tutorial, we will make them easier for you to learn by simulating the result from the server. Our website is going to have the following features. Also, I want to tell you guys that if you have been struggling with Blazor and you're looking to get to the next level, I'm going to able to help you literally with a book. I'm going to give you guys that are going to make it unbelievably clear on what you need to do. And if you're stuck in Blazor, you want to become a technical lead. But actually you want to become much better at Blazor and you want to take it more seriously, the book is going to help you to do that. So click the link down below. I'm going to help you get to the next level and I will see you there. So let's talk about what tools do you need to develop a Blazor WebAssembly project. You need to open your Visual Studio installer, and the first thing you need is absolutely the Visual Studio 2022. As you can see here, I am using the Enterprise edition, but you can use any other edition to do that. And the next thing is .NET 6. You will see that when you press the modify button here, and you navigate to individual components, and you will see the .NET 6 runtime here. The other thing you need is this ASP.NET and web development. So that's all the software you need. In this step, I'm going to show you how to create a Blazor WebAssembly project. Once you have the Visual Studio 2022 installed, open it and you will see as my screen is showing. So the first thing to do is we click on the create a new project and select the Blazor in this combo box here, and you will see that we have two versions of Blazor. One is Blazor server app and one is Blazor WebAssembly app. So in this video, I'm going to go with the Blazor WebAssembly app and name your project. Name your solution. I recommend you to name your solution a different name than your project because Blazor WebAssembly is the front-end app and you will need a back-end project. So when you create a back-end project, let's say you add an API as the project name, online shop API as your backend, then your solution name will have the same name as your front end, and it will create a confusion. So let's avoid the confusion and name your solution name differently than your project name. You can name anything. In this example, I'm going to add a solution in that in the solution name for the sake of the simplicity. So also I want to uncheck this because I don't need it for the demonstration purpose. What this check is to make your Blazor WebAssembly can run in the HTTPS protocol. So yeah, in case you uncheck it, it will remove some code for you. You can also add it later on. Then remember to select .NET 6 as the framework, because .NET 6 is the current version right now, and you don't want to use the older version. So let's hit create, and everything is done. When you create a new Blazor WebAssembly project, there will be a default template with the boilerplate code. You need to remove those boilerplate codes in order to begin the development. So you need to remove the following files. Open your Solution Explorer, and in the www root folder, you will see that folder sample data and the icon 192. Delete them. Also, in the Basis folder, you will need to delete those two components, the counter and the fetch data. Then in the share folder, there will be also a component need to be deleted, that is survey prompt. After you remove all the components, all the boilerplate codes, you will need to open the nav menu component and remove the related links. You see that the counter and the fetch data, those two components we just deleted, so we will need to remove those also. And you're done. You're done removing the boilerplate code. Our first goal is to have a product list page where you display all the products in your website. To do that, you will learn how to create a product component. Then we use that product components in another component to create a page. To have the product component, you will need to have a model. You need to define what is a product. So I'm going to create a model folder, and I add a product class. Our product class needs an ID, then a name, also don't forget to initialize the value like this, also a description for the product, and finally the price. It will be double. Once you have the product class, your next job is to create the product component. And because the product component is not cannot stand alone, it must be used inside another component. So I will put it under the shared folder. Right click on the share folder, select add, and select Blazor component, then name it and name your component. In this case, I choose the name product displayed. I will define the parameter for this component. I use the editor required attribute to make the IDE, the Visual Studio, warning when we don't pass the parameter into this component. And I also use the parameter attribute to mark this properties as a parameter for this component. So I'm going to declare a product here, then name it as product. We need to import things and then give it a default value. Now I'm going to define the UI for this component because this is a boring part, so I will just prepare a UI for this and just paste it. So our product display component will look like this. And now we start to create the product list page, because this product list page can stand alone, so I will put it in the pages folder. Right click on the pages folder, select add Blazor component as the previous component, then I will name it product list. We are going to use the page directive to define the URL for this component. Whenever a user type this specific URL, the user will see this component rendered. This product list page will code the backend to get the product list. So in order to do that, you will need to use the inject directive and inject an HTTP client. Let's call it HTTP. And in the code section, the code section is start with the add code and open bracket. This is the code section. So in the code section, I will declare a property to hold the product list. We need a product model here, not the product display but the product model, and I will call it products. Import, then always give the default value. The next step, we need to use this HTTP client here to fetch the product list from the backend. So to do that, we will fetch it when the page is initialized. So we will need to override the onInitialize async function, async method of this component. Protected override, and you will see a lot of methods to override here. In this case, because we load the list of products at the beginning, so I will choose the onInitialize async. Products equal HTTP. I choose this method because I assume that our API is accept the get method. And the next thing is our API path. So I will call it API product. Yeah, and always give the default value. We need async. Yes. So the thing might get a little bit confused here, because you see that this is not a full URL, and it lacks the prefix. So where is the prefix of this URL? You can see it in the program.css here. You will see that our HTTP client is a scoped service, and the base address, or what I just call it, the prefix URL, is from the host environment, and the base address here. And you now may ask, what is the value of the base address here? You will see the value of base address when you open the properties of the project of your Blazor WebAssembly project, and open the debug, open the debug launch profile UI, and this is the base address that I am talking about. So in case of you select online shop, it will select this profile. If you select the IS address, it will use this base address. So you have two profiles, and you currently choose the online shop. To switch the profile, you will see that we have the IRS Express profile here, and the online shop profile also there. Let's get back to the product list page. So this line of code will send a get request to the backend, and normally you will need a backend to do that, but for the sake of simplicity, I will simulate the result from the backend. So to do that, open your Solution Explorer. You see that our API path begins with the API. So I will create the API folder here. This is important. This folder name needs to match with the URL path, and the file here, the products, I will add a .json here. So I will also create a JSON file inside the API. And you will put your data, your simulation data here. I have put some simulation data like this. Now let's get back to our product list page. this is how I define the product list page. I look through the products property, and for each the product in the product properties, I pass the product into the product display component that we just created a few moments ago. The next step is to create a menu for the user to click and to navigate to this component with the URL of this component. So I'm going to copy this and open the nav menu component here. I will add another link down there. Gonna make it a bit prettier. Now we're going to see the result. Yes, this is our result. The next step is to add the shopping cart feature in our website. Whenever the user select an item, that item we will store that item in the memory. Then when the user navigate to the checkout page, they will see all the items they have selected. So first, this card service will hold information about the product which is selected by the user. This is also known as storing the website state. There are many places to store the state, and I'm going to go with the memory. Store the state in the memory because it is the easiest way to demonstrate things. So first, you will need to create a new folder. I call it services, and in the services folder I create a new class. Let's say the cards stay class. In the card stay class, we need a list of product that is the selected item. Import it and assign a default value. So we will also need the activity client here because we will need to get the list of product later. So I'm going to create a constructor for this, and I inject the activity client inside it. Let's move this up. Now we're gonna to add a method to add a product into the selected items. And we will need our product ID as the parameter. And we only add the product when it is not exist in the cart. So I'm going to check if the product ID already exists. and if it not exist, we will get the product from the product list. So we're going to need the product list. This is the list of product, and we use the same API in the product list page. It is products.json. And we're going to find the product from the product ID here. And finally, we add the product into the selected items. This is not good for the performance. I will only do this because I'm demonstrating things, and we need to keep it simple. So format it, and now we have the cost service. The next step is to register this cost service to Blazor. So you need to open the program .c#, and in this, after we have the activity client, we will register the cost service. Yeah, and we're done. After we have the cost service, the next step is to have the buy button in the product list page, so that the user can click on the buy button. And when the user click on the buy button, we will add the current item into our shopping cart. So let's open our product display component, and in this we will add a button. Don't forget the type equal button here is important. You will know why is it important later on in some following guide. I will talk about that. Then the only now when user click on the button, we will add the product here into the selected item. So we will need to inject our cart service. Use the inject directive. Import it. Product ID, and this is the buy button. So because this we are going to use the product display in the checkout page, so I'm going to write a new parameter to determine when we show the buy button and when we are not. If the display button is true, then show this button now, otherwise don't show it. Now you see the default value of this parameter, the display buy button is false, so by default it will not show this buy button. So we're going to need to enable it in the product list page. Now navigate to the product list page, and in this we will enable the buy button. Now let's run our website to see what we have done. Yes, this is the buy button. So the next step is we create the checkout page, where the checkout page will show all the selected items. Create a new component, checkout. We are going to need to use the cost service, so I will inject it. Then write out a sentence to show how many items in the shopping cart. And now we look through all the selected items in the cart, in this shopping cart, and show them. This time we don't enable the buy button, so we don't pass it. Also use the pay directive to set an URL for this component. I don't think I need the code right now, the code section right now, so I will remove it, and I will add a link in the nav menu for the user to navigate to the checkout page. Now let's run it. I now have 0 item, and let's say I add this. Yes, I have 1 item, and it's displayed right here. So I will add another item. You see, I now have 2 items. Now the final step is to create a form and collect the user information. In this case, our collecting information will be the name and the address to deliver the product. So the first step is to have a form. We need a form model. So I'm going to create a form model. And I will put it in checkout. We need the customer name. We need the customer address. And also we will display a validation message when the user did not provide the information. So I'm going to use the data annotation with a message, with a custom message. Now once we have the form model, the next step is to create the form itself. So I'm going to put the form in the checkout page. The form will be right there. So right now I need the cross section. I will declare a property that is the form model. And assign the default value for it. So the form will be right below the selected item list. So you need to use the edit form component. This is a built-in component. So you will not see it in your project because it's a built-in component. We need this component, the data annotation validator. Without it, our message here will not be displayed. And the last thing is a submit button. Let's say the user fill in the name and the address. What we're going to do with the information? Well, we will display a message for demonstrate purpose. So I'm going to create a new method to handle the submission of the form. And to display the message to the screen, I need to use the JavaScript. So I'm going to inject the JS runtime. I will call the alert function of the JavaScript and pass in the message I want to display. And then use the method for the edit from component. So on value submit, we'll call the submit async. Now let's run it. Let's add some item in the product. Add 3 items. Now I type the name and the address. Yeah, you can see the message here. What will happen if we remove the name? You see the validation being triggered. The reason it triggered is we have the data annotation validator component here, and also we set this properties as required here. So we will see the message here as we set in here. Let's make this button a little prettier. Yeah, it is now. Okay. So congratulations, you have completed building a website tutorial. In the next tutorials, I will talk about the Blazor WebAssembly fundamentals, all the things you need when you develop Blazor WebAssembly website, and then we will move on with the advanced technique. So many advanced techniques out there and waiting you for discovery. So see you next time.